Hi, welcome back to Good Enough Photography. Today I'm going to show you how to combine multiple images into one using only Photoshop and no AI, because I don't like AI. So, before we get into that, I am a beginner photographer. I post tutorials just like this on my channel, so you can go check that out if you like. You don't have to. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out because I am a smaller channel. I have a website at goodenoughphotography.com, and let's stop beating around the bush and let's just get into it. So, I'm going to be adding an eyeball to this flower. You can add anything. Literally. You can make, that's kind of what Photoshop is, making anything. You can add like a flower on a dog. That's a really random one. I don't know. That wasn't really random. That was just weird. You know what I mean. Go nuts. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an image. So I just open up my files and I'm just going to drag and drop that. Boom. Image. So, shoot, I should have sized it first. And I deleted it. Okay, so don't do that. But what you want to do is go in, drag and drop it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, you can change the size later. I'm just going to move it for convenience's sake. So, okay, I lied slightly. There's a tiny bit of AI. Now, for my image, it doesn't really matter. Because what I can do is I can just use the selection tool, and since mine is a circle, since mine is a circle, see? Boom. It's a little messy, but you get the point, right? Circle. And then you can go around with, like, Alt and clean it up. Boom. Circle. But, if you have a more complicated image, like an animal or something, what you could do is go to subject right there, which uses a tiny bit of AI. It is built into Photoshop. That I don't think it counts as a complete lie. That's why I'm using it. But I do think I should be clear about that. So, I'm gonna change the size of our image slightly, and I am going to maybe make it a little smaller, maybe a little bigger, who knows. The reason why I want to do that is because I have just been seeing so many things where it's like, add this to my image, like those Gemini ads, or like that whole like add a banana thing. I don't know why it's a banana, I have to do more research into that, but it's like, you know what I mean, it's like this entire thing that's like this website or program that adds a banana using AI, because I guess we can't do that with Photoshop. I don't know, but oh well. But you know what I'm talking about. And so I was just like, you know what, it can't be that hard. So, and you know what, it isn't that hard. It looks hard, and it takes a little bit of practice, but it's not too bad. Now, I must admit, it does take a little practice, because this is my, like, third time filming this, and because I don't like my result each time, but if you're not a perfectionist like me, it doesn't matter. So, what we're gonna do is, we have an eye. Boom. Done. I'm joking. That looks awful. If that was the finished product, I'd hate myself. So what we are going to do is first, you want to click on your little layer mask and press Control L. That opens up a layers tab. The reason why we are doing this is because there's an ever so slight white line around there. So if I go all the way like that, boom, see, it gets rid of all the white. We don't want that though. We want just the tiniest bit from the edges. So you can see it already got rid of it, which I think looks a lot nicer. So we're going to close that. I think that just refines our images pretty well, but yet again, you don't have to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to go to curves. You see, our image, well first, actually, that little cube right there, you want to turn that on so it's only affecting the eye. You see, our image, well right now, is in a pink and yellow area, but it's reflecting some sort of blue light around here, and we don't want that because this is supposed to be in a reddish, yellowish, warm area, so we want the colors of light to reflect that. So, first we're going to go to red, obviously, because we need more red. So, what you want to do, you see if you go down, it goes to blue. So, what you want to do is as I say, you can't have a cut and paste tutorial. You have to figure it out yourself. Because I think that looks better. I can give you a round, but if you follow my exact curve right here, your image isn't going to look right. Because that's not how tutorials are, unless you're using the same exact image as me, which you're not. Unless you somehow do. I don't know. I guess at the beginning you could screenshot my image and then do it yourself, but I feel like that's just asinine at that point. But, what floats your boat? Float your goat? But I think, you see, that's more red. It's a little too red, but I think that's okay right now because we are going to add a little bit of yellow. But what you want to do is you just want to, you know, make it more colored corrected. So we're going to go to blue because there is no yellow. And if you go down on blue, it gets more yellow. Now that's jaundice. We don't want a jaundiced eye. If you don't know what jaundice is, it's a condition. It's a liver condition, I think. It doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm saying that, but, you know, just so you know. Now already, we can always take this off and look. Now, the color of the eye does shift slightly, but it does look more cohesive with the image because before it had a blue shine and now it has a red shine. I do think we did go a little overboard with the red. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right here and I'm going to take that down just a tiny bit. Just a little bit. Just enough. Not too much. Not too much. Just enough to give it that original eye look again because it doesn't start looking a little muddy. That's better. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to RGB because we do want to shift all these colors just a tiny bit. This kind of affects like shading a lot. See, I'm going to put it back at normal real quick. Then yet again, play around with this. I want a darker but lighter image. I know that's counterintuitive, but like that. I don't know what that means, but that's what I want. I don't know what you want, but that's what I want. So, we have our eye right now, but it still looks awful. You know why? Because there's no physics here. It's just been laid on top. The flower petals aren't over, the stamen aren't curling around. So, what we have to do is we have to create a new layer. But we want our layer to also be pointing down, so it only affects this layer. Now, to be totally honest, I don't exactly know how to do that. I'm pretty sure oh yeah, there it is. So if I were to, no, I don't want to release that clipping mask. So if we go right here, I'm pretty sure all you have to do is go to create clipping mask. There we go, yeah. If you create clipping mask, then it just only works on what it's pointing on. So it only will cut out from there, not the end. Shoot, I'm one step early. Okay, well, I'm working ahead. So just keep that in mind for later, because I'm working ahead. What we actually want to do is we want to press that little clipping mask right there. Not clipping mask. We want the layer mask. You see, I was working ahead because I am excited. And I filmed this like 5 times already, so my brain is scrambled. Why have I filmed this 9 times? Because I don't like it. Now, it's a fun tutorial. I'm just tired. So I'm going to put 100 opacity, and I'm going to go to the hard round brush. Yes, laugh, giggle. I know the name's funny. I'm going to go to a 20 now. I put a 20. I'm going to go to a 20. There we go. I fixed it. So, we're at the black brush right now. That removes. Self-explanatory. We go to the white brush. I actually should have had some remove there so I could show you. Boom, we got to remove. I go to the white brush. Perfect. Now, by the way, I am using a Wacom tablet, which is honestly completely optional because, you know what? I just like it. So, I think my brush is a little too big. You don't have to use Wacom. Actually working on this tutorial, I was using, what is it called? I was using my mouse. So, now what we want to do is you're like, well, I can't see where I'm painting. I can't see where I'm cutting away. So what we want to do is we want to go to around, I'm going to say a 60. So what we're going to do, I keep saying so what we're going to do. It's probably a bingo. Take a shot every time I say, please don't. I don't want people dying. Because I keep saying that, so. Yeah. Perfect. So. God, I gotta stop saying so. I'm gonna go around these little stamen here. And I'm gonna start just cutting out. Because we want them to look like they're curling over. Now, if you're using your image and you're doing whatever, you want to do that with things in front of it. That's how you kind of make things like pop. Like if you're doing, if you're putting something in something. Like putting a flower in a vase in Photoshop. Then you want to do this as well. Like cut out so it looks more realistic. But the thing is, not all of these are curling over, but I just don't want a flat eye on top of that. So I do have to fake it till you make it a little bit. Which I'll show you later. And you might not have to, and I pressed something. Okay, you might not have to do that with your image, but I am doing that with my image. You know, I don't know why I said that like that. I think that looks bad, but it's fine. I'm not gonna cut it all the way at the bottom because it wouldn't make sense if it was like growing out of the eye. So that's kind of what I mean by cheating it. You kind of just have to keep it real. Also, if it's like too big or it doesn't look right now, you can always go back with the white later. That's what I'm gonna do. Also, since we're so pixeled, I can't even kind of tell what I'm looking at. Yeah, use a higher quality image if you are, but it's fine. It's fine. It's gonna look good in the end. And this is my third time doing this. It should look better at the end, right? I'm joking, but you kind of just gotta go with the flow here. That's why I'm kind of cutting out like this. You know, that might look awful later, but guess what? I'm going with the flow. Now, I do think I made the eye a little bigger than I usually do, but I think that might lend to us. Now, size does matter. Nope, don't say it. Can't believe I just said that. Okay, I might cut that out. But basically, it matters what size you make your image if you have something like a horizon line or you're trying to make something realistic. Since there are no eyes with actual flowers, I can make the eye whatever size I want. But say you're adding a car to a road, you have to try to make it look proportional. So you can't have just like a giant car in like a road and then the street lamp is like smaller than the car. Unless it's a perspective thing. But then you gotta make it look like perspective. Another thing you might have to do with your image is distort it or liquefy it slightly so you can mess with that perspective again. How many times have I said perspective? But basically, you know what, let's check on that right now. Let's go back to 100. Let's see if I zoom out. It doesn't look half bad. I'm saying half bad. Okay, I get it. It looks a little funky right now. We're not done. Why am I getting aggressive? I don't know. I'm tired. But it's looking pretty good. So what we are going to do next. Now, by the way, you can always go back. Actually, I might add some white. Just because I think some of these edges look a little iffy. By the way, I do realize when you're watching this, it's going to be the day before Thanksgiving, which is probably a horrible time to be watching this because posting this because no one's going to be watching it the day before Thanksgiving because everyone's going to be busy. And I don't think I have too many international viewers yet, so you know what? But I have to post because, you know, I didn't post last week. Meaning that if I don't post this week, YouTube's going to be mad. So, yeah. You see there, I did just trim the petal down a little bit because it is getting a little weird looking. Also, I didn't do it perfectly last time, so I'm just going to actually re-trim it down because I didn't like how I just did it. This might be my best one yet. And I've done this like 5 times already, so. You can actually see in the top my previous dead attempts. I deleted one of my attempts because I just hated it that much. But that's because I'm a perfectionist. It really is a lot easier than I'm making it sound right now. I am being a little bit facetious, I believe the word is. But no. Now, this is actually where a lot of people will leave their image. Because they're like, yeah, that looks good, and then they're done. But it could be better. So, here's where that layer is going to come in that I didn't need until just now, and I have no clue why I didn't use it. I have no clue why I made it before, so you know what? I'm going to go to black here. And I'm going to go to soft round. Giggle, I don't care. Then I'm going to go to around a 20%. I think 17 might be too much. I might go to a 15. And what am I going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm on this layer, and I'm just going to start painting in shadows, you know? I think the color of the shadow is okay. I have tested around with a warm shadow and a light shadow. I mean, cold shadow. But I don't know if you can truly tell. I think you can. I'm going to go back to a colored shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my color. of choice, which is my flower. I'm gonna choose a good color. And I'm gonna go down almost all the way to black. But you can see right there, it's not 100% black. So now, hopefully, that'll look better than what I was just doing. And I forgot. Oh well. Okay, I think that looks better. Or I'm losing it. Vote in the comments which one you think it is. Please don't. So. Speaking of the comments, if you got this far, leave something in the comment. Comment the eye emoji or something. Or say hi or, I don't get much comment retention or interaction. So YouTube doesn't like that because YouTube likes interaction. So, it'd really help me out if you can. If you don't want to, honestly, I don't care. But, I mean, I do care a little bit. I do care. But, I'm not going to force you to because, yeah. But, just a little bit of interaction would be nice. Especially for the algorithm. Okay, so that's our basic shadow down. And it already looks better. I mean, we could just look right here. Look at that. Look how much better that looks already. And I didn't, do anything. But I do think we can go a little further. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go down to a 7. And I'm going to go around these flowers. And I'm going to keep the same opacity, just so it's consistent. And I'm going to go around where these little stamen bumps are. Because I think it should be a little darker there. Oh my god, I rotated my image. There we go. It's not perfect. Yes, my thing is a touch screen, so I am touching my screen right now. There probably is an easier way, but you know what? I'm self-taught on Photoshop, so I don't know. Okay, I think... Yeah, that might have been too much. I think I just need... Oh, there we go, buddy. Good job. Why am I in zoom mode? Okay. But what you just want to do... You want to be subtle. Now, you want to add in... The shadows really help. A lot of people I've noticed don't add in the shadows. Because maybe they don't know how. And it's really simple. You can just literally use the brush tool. Which you're like, really? That doesn't, because you think it would look weird, right? Just having, but you just gotta have the right opacity, the right brush. And I'm just using a normal default brush. And then you just gotta have the right hand. And you're like, what do you mean by that? Well, if you're using a Wacom, or if you're using, a tablet and you're using the pressure sensitivity, which I'm not. But if you are, you gotta make sure you're light with it. Because some people go too dark with the shadows. And that's what I was battling with in my past 5 attempts. I'm like, oh, these shadows look awful. It looks fake. And you know what? It's gonna look a little fake. I'm making an eyeball and a flower, for God's sakes. It's gonna look a little fake. Because there's no actual eyeballs and actual flowers. Unless you put one there. And then someone will call the police. Because where'd you get that? That was a dumb joke. I don't like that. Come on, buddy. There we go, buddy. Okay, so. But say you're doing something realistic, like adding a car. And one thing you can do, which I'm not doing here, is you can take your image, duplicate it, turn it into a mask as I have right here. Then you can fill in the entire thing with color. So if I took this and just took a black and scribble over the entire thing, I would just have a black silhouette. And then I could take that, adjust the opacity, stretch it, stuff like that, to make the perfect shadow. But since mine is in a flower, I don't have that type of long shadow that you get at night, or during a sunset where the sun is pointing at you and you can see your silhouette. Because I'm just having a top-down type shadow. So I don't need that perfect, silhouette. But if you do, then you gotta do that. Like I just told you. Okay. I think that's looking better. And I think that's looking better than my past 18 attempts. I love how the number I keep saying about how many attempts I've done keeps going up. Maybe I've been cutting back and forth and you wouldn't even... I haven't. But I could. But I'm not. But you wouldn't know. But you would. Okay. That's looking pretty fire. Pretty fire, dog. I'm actually liking this one a lot better than my previous attempts so far. Or I'm blinded by... Nope, I can't sing that. Demonetization. Okay. Actually, I don't get paid yet, but you know what? I don't want to risk it. For the biscuit. But there's no biscuit yet, because I don't get paid. Let's see. That light is a little bright, but this might be too much. It might ruin it for me. Let's see. As I was saying, you just gotta play around, like I'm doing right now. And yeah, it might take multiple attempts. Yeah, it looks awful. It might take multiple attempts, but that's sometimes what you need, is multiple attempts. Because I've been getting better. And you need to ask people too for feedback. Like, okay, that's looking a lot better than my previous attempts. Jeez. Okay. You might be like, okay, yeah, but that still looks a little funky. And you're right, it does look a little funky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another layer. I know, I'm making every layer here. But I am going to take the color of my pink highlight. Because I think that looks, because having a shadow but then no highlight there looks weird. Because, well, a lot of times shadows are cast by light. If there's a highlight, there's probably a shadow. If there's a shadow, there's probably a highlight. Yes, I know in all cases it's not the case, but I'm gonna make it the case. That's the wrong tool. So I'm just gonna... 20 might be too subtle for this one. I think I'm gonna go in at 30. And I think I'm gonna be very careful. And I'm just gonna outline that right there. Perfect. But that doesn't look exactly like a highlight. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually go to a 35. And I'm going to go down to the middle of my highlight here. And by the way, me doing these circles, I don't know why. I'm going to just go there. And then I'm going to make it slightly smaller. Then I'm going to make it slightly smaller. Boom. You see that? Then I'm going to go in right over here. And I'm going to do that again. Build up. Instead of changing the opacity, I'm just going to build upon the opacity. Let's see. I feel like over here will be too weird, but we'll see. I don't think it works. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, though. I'm not going to build it up too much. I just do want some differentiation. I feel like I said that word wrong. It's fine. Then I'm going to go around here. But not too far down, because if I go too far down, it looks weird, because that's not how highlights work. That's how highlights work. Actually, I might bring this further down. Nope, that's not following. Let's see. Yeah. So, you want to adjust your highlights to match what you've added. Now, I know I didn't need over here because that doesn't mean anything, but I just thought it looked bad. But right here, before it was like the lowest part of the image, so it had no highlight. But now it's not the lowest part. So now it needs a highlight. That's another thing that helps with the perspective really nicely here. Is you just have to... That's another thing why these images look bad when people do them sometimes. Because you have to focus on how physics and lighting works. And yes, I might just be adding some of these highlights because I think it needs it. But also, as I was saying with that part of the flower right there, without it wouldn't make sense. Because, well, what's casting the shadow? I mean, yeah, it's the flower petal, but how? Where's the light coming from? There's no highlight, meaning there's probably not a lot of light there. So we need that little contrastingness. And yes, I know up close it looks a little weird, but if I just go out to what a normal person would see looking at this image, it looks good. I mean, yeah, I could probably tell it's fake because there's no such thing as eyeballs and flowers, but it looks good. You also have to be careful with the image you're using, because I tried multiple variations of this one, and you want to use something that you think will match well with your image. So, for this one, I feel like for the eye, you don't want a very dull eye, because eyes in general are pretty glassy, you know? Another thing I would say if you're finding an image, try to find something with, like, it's like the whole thing. Because if you're looking for a normal eye, like, you know, it would have the lid, but I don't want the lid here, so I had to look for someone's render, but the thing is, like, I'm pretty sure it's a render, but I can't credit because it was like on Shutterstock or something. So, yeah, but you gotta look for a good image that works with yours. So, say you're adding a car, you have to try to look for something that's going in the direction you want it or the perspective you want it. Because yes, you can always change the image to go in the perspective you want, but you can tell sometimes. So you just want to be careful with how you make it look like. Say you have a car and it's going to the left. If you flip it, yeah, it works, but then the light's kind of messed up. Or then it looks a little weird because You know, sometimes things just look weird flicked, even if it's like the same thing. So I would try to always make sure that the image is in the state that you want it, and you can always tweak that instead of having it in a different state. Yes, I know sometimes that's like impossible, but if you're using clip art, which a lot of people do for this, it's pretty easy because just look for different clip art. So I'm thinking that looks pretty good, but I feel like the stamen look a little weird because some of the stamen were bottom stamen before that I have kind of played around with to make them look like top stamen, but they don't have the highlights to match with what a higher stamen would look like. So I'm going to take my tool and take the highlight of a stamen. I hope it's called a stamen, or I'm just like messing up here. But I'm going to take that and I'm going to, let's see, that's too large. Let's see, let's go to like a 2. 2 acquired. So I'm just going to color some of that in, and I'm gonna go around here too, because as we said, a lot of times there's some sort of light casting the shadow. And yes, I know for some of these it doesn't really make sense the way that I'm editing it, because like, what? But as I told you, there's not a bunch of ones curling around, which makes it look cool, but so I gotta kind of play with it, gotta bull crud it. So let's see. And I know the whites don't match either. I will fix that in a minute. So that one right there that we can keep as dark because it is behind, but this one we're having to go up a little bit. And yet again, I understand it doesn't make sense the way that the stamen are attacking it, but I'm trying to bull crud it. It's fine. This is actually me going against my rule of the state being how you want it, because the flower should be more curled because that's how I want it, but I don't have a more curled flower. And it's winter now, so is it technically fall or winter? I don't know. Well, it's too late in the year to take new flowers of photos because they're all dead, unless I want to take photos of sticks or like evergreen trees, but those are kind of, I mean, I guess I could probably take a photo of an evergreen tree. I don't know. I missed some good snow photos too. I was busy when it was snowing. I could have taken some good snow photos, but it's fine. Also, another thing you want to keep an eye out for if you're doing an image with a horizon line. You want to make sure that you don't cheat the horizon. You can cheat the horizon line slightly depending on your image, but you have to be careful because you want to make sure things line up with the horizon line, or else it looks too large or looks floating. So you gotta be careful with that as well. Now, this is a beginner tutorial, so I'm not using a photo with a horizon. Actually, most of my photos don't have horizon lines because most of them are macros. But I might make a tutorial one day with a photo with a horizon line as a more complicated tutorial version of this one. But this is just kind of a beginner tutorial, so I'm hoping this is looking better and I'm not ruining it. No, it's looking better. Okay. That's always the worry when you're editing a photo. Well, at least that's always my worry. I don't know what other people worry about. I am kind of drawing in some of these stamen. I think I drew that one in too much. It looks fake now. Let's see if I can fix that. Nope. I forgot you have, when you're doing low opacity, you should try to do everything in one fail swoop. Or else it starts looking weird because, yeah. Let's see, did I fix it? Yeah, I think so. I think I just gotta add the white back and I think it'll look good. Now, I do understand I am kind of drawing some of this in, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. And that might not be the best for what you're doing. Like, you might be doing a detailed poster or something. Not poster, I don't know, something with detail, and you can't just draw in parts, which is fine as well. That's why I was talking about the state of your image, like the state of being of your image. Okay, let's see without. Ooh. Yeah, it looks better. I'm not losing it. I mean, okay. I don't think I'm losing it. So now I'm gonna take the brighter version of our white here. Where's a bright white? You seem pretty bright white. And I'm only taking stamen white, by the way. I'm not gonna take the eye white. Actually, no, you're brighter white. Because the eye white is different than the stamen white. So, I'm just gonna Where's my little buddy? There's my little buddy. I'm just gonna go with the flow. The motion of the ocean. You don't want to draw in too much, or else it starts looking drawn in, because it is drawn in. So you do want to be, that's why I'm using a low opacity as well. So it is harder to mess up. Yeah, that, aw. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on. Oh my god. There we go. That's looking good. Yeah. Sheesh. It's looking good. When I compare it to my past attempts. Okay. Okay. That one is too dark. That one. This one. Yeah, I think I cut the color more with this one. There's some blue a little more, but overall, yeah, I think I improved. Yay. But this is a good looking image right now. Now, if you were using different things with different film grains and stuff, you want to add a film grain to make everything look more cohesive. If you want a film grain, you don't need that. You can always add different filters, different overlays to make everything look like a more cohesive image. But I think mine looks pretty good. It's just, yet again, personal preference as this works. So, say you want, like, and you can also add just, like, other things, like sparks or glares or whatever you want to add to your image as you do with normal Photoshop. But yeah, this is a beginner way to how to composite photos, and it looks a lot better than just like what a lot of people do, which is slapping it on top and then cutting it out. But a lot of people don't add the shadows and the highlights, or they don't focus on perspective, which is another thing you want to focus on. Yes, I understand this isn't the most beautiful composite image ever. It's not the most breathtaking. Sorry about the voice crack. Not the most breathtaking, not the most what's it called? Not the most professional, not the most advanced, but it's a beginner composite, and it looks good. Like, honestly, it's not awful. And that's all that matters, you know? And that's what this tutorial is. I might not be great at it, but as you saw with the images I showed, which I'm going to keep those in there. This was my first one. This was my second one. They're not in order because, yeah. This is my third one. And this is my fourth one. They progressively got better. And that's showing you because the tools I gave you work. It's just the skill behind it. So if you keep working on the tools that I just gave you, it'll get better. And then you'll have a better composite. And I might make in the future a more advanced composite tutorial, but I just haven't seen them. I haven't been able to find a lot of these because every time I look up some sort of like composite tutorial or how to add images together, it's like, oh, well, here's how you use generative fill, but I don't want to use generative fill because I want to actually do something, and because I like art. Why would I want something to do art for me when I can art? I don't know. But, so, yeah, that's why I did this tutorial in the first place. Because art. But, yeah. The amount of times I said, but, yeah, so, yeah. I think it looks pretty good. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, check out my Instagram and my TikTok at Good Enough Photography. Check out my website at goodenoughphotography.com. You can look at my playlist, which will pop up around here or later in the end card. I don't know where the end card goes. I'll place it later. And you can watch a playlist of my tutorials. You can watch any of my other videos. Most of them are tutorials, I'm gonna be totally honest. Yeah, I post Wednesdays. Hopefully every Wednesday, but I've been busy, so it's been more closer to every other Wednesday, but, you know, I'm trying. And, yeah, I will see you later, and have a great day.